Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Thanks for coming to view this video. I hope you find it entertaining. Maybe you'll learn something. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch. I have to apologise that it's taken so long to get the video out. The last time I posted was 6 months ago. Who can believe that? A lot has happened since then. All sorts of stuff. I had to have a kidney removed of all things. We also got a puppy. It's been busy. But hopefully going forwards I'll get more time to get into the shed, and then maybe I'll be able to post more of these videos. In this video I'm going to take you all the way back to Christmas.
Christmas in July! Except it's not Christmas, and it's not July.
I'm going to show you the incredible, amazing gift that I made for my wife. You see, all this time that we've been married, she's been wanting one of these things, and she's never had one. So I thought, I've taken up woodworking, maybe I could make one and solve the problem. And you know what? I did. And this is the journey that I took to make it. So why don't you sit back and watch the story. Now before we get started, I wanted to show you this. This was the first project that I made, but I didn't record any of the construction because I wasn't really considering making a YouTube channel at that stage. It's a Murphy bed that I made for my son, and while it works, there's a few things that could be done better, like making it collapsible so you can move it out of the room. It's also pretty ugly. So I've come up with this for version 2.
Please excuse the crudity of this model. I didn't have time to build it to scale or to paint it. It's good. Oh, thank you, thank you.
I'm going to wrap it in tamper doors, so you can slide those back to open it up. But I've never made those before, so that's going to be fun. I'm also going to make it so you can dismantle the cabinet and the bed frame. And instead of being solid and heavy, I'm going to make it a frame structure. So make sure you're subscribed to see that.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
If you thought the plan I had for that upcoming Murphy bed was bad, you should check out the plan I had for this.
I apologize for the crudity of this model, but
No, Doc, it's not the scale. It's okay, Doc.
This gorgeous timber that we're starting with here is a New Zealand native timber called Rimu. It's already planed down to a nice finish, so we can get started straight away. But as you can see, there are some holes in it from its previous life, which I'll have to work around. Of course, the first thing to do is to rip it down to size, so I set my fence and I begin to cut it. As you can see, I was having a bit of trouble with the length of the board, causing it to lift at the front where it was making the cut, but I was able to get it done. I checked the width of the board along the length of the cut, and I was quite happy with that, so it's time to keep going. There's no audio on this clip for some reason, so I'll just make it for you. Or maybe you like the silence. And now I cut them to length using mitered joints. This is my first time making a mitered joint, and I had to have a couple of goes at this because my first attempt wasn't particularly accurate. Once those were all cut, I dragged out my thicknesser and planed them all down to a nice consistent thickness. I needed to route some slots around the inside of the frame that I'm making, and there's only one way to do that, and that's slow and steady. But you don't want to watch that, so I've sped it up for you. Rimu, or you might know of it as red pine, is a gorgeous softwood that's very popular here in New Zealand. It's easy to work with and has a wide variety of uses, so much so that it was almost harvested to extinction. As a result, it's becoming quite expensive. This is at 16 times and it's still taking ages. And it's just the first pass. Because I didn't want to move my fence for the router, this is the process I had to go through each time I wanted to adjust the depth of the cut. Put a weight on the table, adjust the bit height on the router, and clear it all away again. Thanks, babe.
Is he going up here?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
You're up there.
Huh?
You're on camera now.
Oh. Right?
Yeah, that's good. These are the resulting slots after I'd worked my way through all the different depth stops on the router. Depth stops.
Try saying that 5 times fast.
Having got the frames cut to shape, it was time to try a dry fit, but before I could do that, I had to cut the backing MDF to size. So I set up my table saw and the fence and started cutting it down. There's nothing much to say here, so just sit back and watch while I cut these 3 boards down to width. And then I take one of the boards and I cut it down to length. Next, I need to drill some pivot holes dead on halfway along the long edge of the frame. So I measured the same distance from each end and I split the difference, giving me the halfway point for the length. I then used the 45 edge on my square to find the center of the width. Once that was done, I could slap it in my drill press and drill out a hole to the correct depth. Rinse and repeat for the other long edges. If you haven't figured out what I've been making, I think you're about to start getting some idea. I had these mirrors stashed here out of sight, and I had them taped up so that they wouldn't fall over. They are incredibly fragile as they're just pieces of glass. My clever plan was to use the backing boards and the frames that I had just made to support the mirror while I lifted it out. This was easily the most nerve-wracking part of the entire build. If I break this mirror, the whole project is ruined. So sit back and watch me fuss over this while I struggle to get it out without breaking it. Now I just got to put the shorter board in for the top section, and finally I can try fitting it all together. As you'll see, I'm about to realize that no matter how hard I try, it's just not going to work. So I eventually come to the conclusion that I need to trim just a touch more out of the slots to give me the depth I need to close up those miters. Because if those miters aren't tight, they ain't going to hold. So of course I got my table saw set up, and then I set about making a couple of test cuts to make sure that I got everything in the right place. Check that my cuts were in the right place. And
Stand back in awe.
as I show you the awesome shots I got as I run these through the table saw. Adjust the fence so I can take out the center notches. Make another couple of test cuts and then run them through. That left the slots looking like this. So I got out my chisels and carved out the remaining ridges to make it all smooth so the thing would fit. The next day I came in and was prepping for the next stage of the build, and I found this guy lurking in my wood. Boy did he give me a fright. He's a New Zealand wheatar and they seem to live in the hedge by my workshop. Anyway, I put him back outside where he belongs. Having put the wheatar back home, I set about rounding over the edges, and then did some preliminary sanding. Once done, I tried another test fit, and this time all the miters lined up perfectly, so it was time to move on to the glue up. The first thing I had to do was find a way to hold the miters securely while the glue set, and here you can see me messing around with several different methods to clamp the corners, but none of them work successfully. So I resorted to the one thing that is guaranteed to work: duct tape. I slathered on some glue, positioned the piece, and threw in some guide clamps. Then I stretched the duct tape over the corners to hold it securely. And then I put some more duct tape on from underneath, just to make it extra secure. While the glue is drying on that, it's time to start on the base. I began by cutting the required pieces down to length. Chop, chop, chop. Then I set up the pieces approximately how I thought they should go to check how it looked. As you can see clearly on my face, I'm not happy with it. Moving the feet out towards the edges, yes, that should work. And right there is the face of a happy man.
Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture.
With the layout I want decided, it's time to mark out all of the half-lap joints that will hold the base together. Because it is hard to get an accurate blade height on my homemade table saw, I had to come up with a different way to make these half-lap joints. My technique with these is to cut out the sides accurately, which the table saw does well, and clear out the bulk of the unwanted wood. A quick test fit to check my work, and then I switch over to my router to get down to the desired depth, using a flush trim bit here so I don't trim out the edges and make the half lap too wide. Then I marked out the angle I wanted to take off the ends of the feet for a bit of style, and then I cut them. I apparently missed filming the gluing of the base, so let's just cut to the sanding. So much sanding. Next I had to round over the top of the uprights for the base, and of course sand that. I marked the holes for the pivots that hold the base and the frame together. I started by drilling a guide hole with a small bit and then swapped out for the correct size. Then I put a round over on the base. I measured how long I wanted the uprights to be, marked it, and cut them to final length. Joining the uprights to the base needed a joint with substantial mechanical strength, as this is the part where all the weight from the mirror and frame is going to come down on the base. And you don't want your wife's Christmas present breaking apart and crashing on her. That would not be good. So after some bandsawing and chiseling, I had a nice partial through tenon. I have no idea what this joint is called. Leave a comment if you know what this joint is. Then I glued the uprights to the base and checked for square. Of course, it was perfect, just as I planned.
And my plan all went accordingly to plan.
Here's the base mostly assembled. By now the glue on the mirror frames had dried, so I removed the duct tape and I checked out how my miters turned out. Are they any good? Now what you're about to watch may horrify you, but just relax, take a deep breath, you'll be okay. I'm just trying to strengthen the miters by filling some small gaps. Trust me, you can't even see this on the finished result. Don't forget the sanding. What have we got left to do? Ah yeah, I figured the mirror frame needed some braces. Not that kind of braces. Meme guy, you're taking over my video. Where was I?
Where was I?
Stop it! As I was saying, the mirror frame needs some braces to stop the long sides coming apart, so I cut up some leftover wood to act as the brace. Next I needed to route out the slots for the braces to glue into. Here's a tip that you won't find on other channels. Well, I've never seen anyone else mention it. Clean your router tips. Just a bit of water mixed with laundry detergent, you should be good to go. Now this next part serves as a great lesson in making sure you use the right tool for the job. You see, I didn't have any double-sided tape, but it shouldn't be a problem. I've taped it down good, and I'm just going to gently route out the wood between the guide. It's not that stupid. Besides,
It's stupid and it works. It's not stupid.
Tell me this is gonna work. I have neither the information nor the confidence to do so.
okay, fine. I'll ask what everyone else thinks.
No, absolutely not. Are you sure?
Don't do it.
Bad idea. Horrible idea. Nuh-uh. The way. Are you loopy? Even you can't be that stupid. Don't even think about it, baby.
It is the most goodest idea ever.
Yes, Mort, you are so wise.
Alright, let's do this and prove all the haters wrong. See, look, it's totally fine. I knew it was going to work. Nah, I'm tricking you. That was from a second cut when I did it properly with double-sided tape. This is what it really looked like.
Oh, ugly. Oh, fiddlesticks. But pick yourself up, dust yourself off. We can save this.
Now you might be wondering why I've moved on to applying the finish and skipped the video of me making that repair. Well, the truth is I didn't do anything fancy. I just filled it up with glue and sawdust. Oh, come on, it's on the back. I can assure you no one has noticed the fix in the 3 months that my wife has been using it. And besides, it just means it was made by an amateur woodworker like me. Exactly like me.
Well, of course I know him. He's me.
And not some mass-produced CNC-built characterless piece. That makes it even more special. Besides, you've been watching me finishing this piece and you haven't even noticed the repair is right there. And if you did notice, you must be Mr. Fussy.